Dingle Dongledorf is not. Okay, we still have the good one on.
Yeah.
Just moving my dice.
Great audio noises.
Listen, I feel like if someone's listening to a D&D podcast, dice are ASMR.
Yeah. According to all known laws of aviation, there is no way a bee should be able to fly.
This isn't the beginning.
Its wings are too small to get its fat little body off the ground. The bee, of course, flies anyway. Because bees don't care what humans think is impossible. Yellow, black.
Why are you doing
Yellow,
this?
Black. Yellow, black. Yellow, black. Oh, black and yellow. Let's shake it up a little. Berry, breakfast is ready. Coming.
Stop reading the...
Hang on a second. Hello, Barry, Adam. Can you believe this is happening? I can't. I'll pick you up. Looking sharp. Use the stairs. Your father paid good money for those. Sorry, I'm excited. Here's the graduate. We're very proud of you, son. A perfect report card.
I'm in physical pain.
All bees.
Wow, I forgot that joke was in there. Say what you will, that movie had some of the best bee puns. Like, its pun game was off the charts.
The word I would use is gratuitous.
The other type of pun. So, last time on Dragon Ball Z, months ago.
A lot of months ago. Let me get you the exact number.
How are we
of
actually
months.
starting that's not the intro.
Yes, it is.
No, I mean like the intro to the actual game. We don't zoom in on Willy as the B script is happening.
Yes.
No, like what's going on? Where am I?
432 months ago. Which is 36 years for those that don't have calculators on hand. Willy, what is your last name again?
Doesn't matter.
Willy doesn't matter.
Fuck you.
Had an encounter in the ancient scholarly city of Talagaim. The end result of which led him to meeting Arias, the Herald of the Stars, and maybe inadvertently forming a pact with him.
What? What? I just talked to Kevin!
After the city was destroyed, Willy, you returned to Agomir, where you defended...
Is that the name of my town?
Yes.
I have notes.
You returned to Agomir, the ruined city that lies on a gate from the Underdark to the prime material plane, or like the...
Top side.
It has been...
That's what Willy calls it.
Top side. It has been 36 years, which is a long...
I'm old as fuck. I'm like 90. Now I'm 90. Before I was like 62 or something.
It has been 36 years.
I'm fucking old.
And during this time, you've noticed something strange. You hunger, you tire, and you scar. But you do not age.
Oh.
You still remain as sprightly and youthful as you did all those years ago.
As a 60-year-old,
as
2-year-old
a 62-year-old
Listen,
man.
I got 20 decks.
You're very quick. Very, very good at flipping around. What do you think Willy's been doing during these 36 years?
I think he's been doing what he usually does, which is make sure that the Underdark stays in the under and in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
But in the meantime, he now has almost a secondary goal of figure out what the hell happened in the magic city that exploded, and where is this invisible lich, and pact? Question mark. Whenever, like, when he had time, like, to go to the magical city and try and usually whenever he would have time off, it would be to try and find more resources and ways to stop the Underdark from not being under or dark.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's towards figuring out what was going on with Arias,
Mm-hmm.
Kevin, and Talagaim.
Okay.
And possibly where a bard who can make life went.
That's
That's like fourth.
Yeah.
That's fourth in thing. Like, that guy's probably important somewhere, but he's not blow up a city important.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I want you
Maybe.
to roll... roll history.
Oh boy. My int score isn't... Oh, it's actually positive. Hell yeah.
Nice.
I have the history skill!
Excellent.
20. I haven't looked at this character sheet in a long time.
Over these past 36 years, as I mentioned before, you haven't aged, but you have been keeping track of everything that has happened down on the area of Eastern Gosha. The kingdoms of Salome and Winderon, far off to the east, have been settling down a massive feud, but this hasn't really been part of your purview. Yes.
What was the day when all the lights from the sky and the battle in Rame happened? What's that colloquially known as? Like, what do people give that day the name?
As of right now,
has it happened yet?
It has not happened yet.
Right, but what's it called?
It's called the Genesis Wave.
The Genesis Wave. Okay,
Yeah.
So the Genesis Wave hasn't happened yet.
The Genesis Wave has not happened yet.
That's what I really want to know.
The Genesis Wave has not happened yet. You know that Salome and Winderon have been kind of feuding, but as far as the Underdark goes, everything seems to be business as usual. There haven't been any weird myconid overgrowing nonsense. The Illithids have been kind of really, really quiet as of late. You know that Illithids didn't really come down to the southern, in quotation marks, part of the Underdark. They mostly hung up towards the northern half, but every now and again they would come down. But that hasn't happened for...
Probably looking for, slaves or something.
Yeah.
Not usually to stir trouble, just, steal Dwergar.
Mm. But it's been calm, for the most part.
Okay.
You know that in the time that Talagaim has been destroyed, you have caught wind of people that were traveling within the Underdark, drow mostly, that had been to the space where Talagaim was. It is now mostly a ruined crater. There are a few remnant buildings that are there, and the one drow that you did meet told you that there might be stuff there, but you'd really have to dig super deep to find anything.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Have I heard anything of the people who I asked Kevin to save?
No.
Okay.
None of them have contacted you.
Okay. I think I told staff person where to find me, right?
Did you?
I'm pretty sure I did.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I said I if you need to find me, I'm in the mountains or something like that.
Okay.
I think I gave a general area of where I was.
All right.
Because, I turned the staff invisible and we were all getting teleported away. I was like, in case anything happens, this is where I am.
Okay. All right. So, we'll wind the clock back a little bit. We'll say that it's been 33 years.
33 and a half.
33 and a half years since Talagaim. And you are sitting about the ruins of Agome, kind of watching topside as you're taking your lunch and keeping an eye on the gate to the Underdark, as it were. And a figure approaches, which is highly unusual. You are the only person that really exists in this town. Mm-hmm. They start walking towards you. What do you do?
Do they see me?
They're walking towards your direction.
Does it seem like they see me?
What's your passive perception?
My passive perception? Oh, Jesus. It's probably 18 or something. My perception is... Oh, my passive perception is 22.
Holy shit.
I have expertise in perception.
You can tell that they're walking in your general direction because they kind of get... to them, they look like they know exactly where they're going, but it doesn't look like they've caught eyes on you.
Okay, I want to flip my hood up, and start making my way towards my house if I'm not already there.
Okay. Your house is in the opposite, or we'll say
it's outside of the city, maybe not like a mile. I could walk into the city from my house, but it's specifically outside the walls. It's not inside the city.
Okay, all right. You move over to your house, and as you do, you watch this figure get closer and closer and closer to the mouth of the Underdark. They get to the front of it, and they just kind of like stand and they look around, confused.
Do I recognize them?
Now
that they're closer?
Now that they're closer, you can tell that they're a blue-scaled dragonborn.
Oh, a dragonborn. Okay.
Yeah. Roll Sinistery.
Sure. 10.
You vaguely remember like a small flicker of someone that matches that description.
Too many years.
But you do you do anything?
I wanna search for any, like, look at their person, not search them, but like look at their person and see if I can see any insignia, like maybe military rank, weapons. I wanna look up and down them and see if I can see what I see.
Okay, roll investigation.
Ooh. I got that one. 18.
Okay. You look this person up and down, and you can see that they're wearing some pretty scholarly clothes. They're these thin, kind of shimmering, blackish red robes that you know are from the Kingdom of Harrow, which is on Western Gosha. They have a reputation for being kind of aggressive. It's more of a might makes right kind of place. A lot of mercenaries go there for jobs, and the ruler just doesn't really give a shit about people.
Any visible weapons, or like a spell book, or
you see
spell component pouch, or arcane
you
focus?
see a spell component pouch on their side.
Okay, yeah. I wanna try and grab that.
Okay,
Like, I just wanna like slip it away before I start talking to them.
roll sleight of hand.
Can I roll with advantage because I'm invisible?
Yes.
29.
Okay, so you move up to this figure, and you very easily just like undo the little knot of their component pouch, and you take it away. They continue to look around for a little bit before they eventually they begin to reach for their component pouch, which has mysteriously disappeared.
I think after I take the component pouch, I step back and I pull out the huntsman and I point it at them, but then I just say, "State your business."
They almost well, here's what I'll do.
He's not trying to be intimidating or anything.
Yeah.
He's just saying.
They you watch as the figure just kind of like jumps like maybe a good 2 feet off the ground, and they like turn around in midair, and they look in your direction, and they don't see anything.
I move somewhere else.
Okay. They just kind of look around panicked, and they say, "Who are you? Who are you?"
State your business.
They
You are at a severe disadvantage.
oof. They kind of take a deep gulp, and they inhale sharply before exhaling again. They say, "My name is..." Fuck. I don't remember his, like, actual real last name.
Just make one up.
He has an actual
Just make it
real
up
last...
and erase it in all your books.
No! I must know!
For those of you at home, Willy has a cloak of true invisibility, which the DM gave to me, so I just abuse it now at this point.
I don't remember. I'll figure it out. He says the name of the gemstone that is blue, that has a Z in it, and an A. The name sounds familiar to you.
Okay. Does he say why he's here?
Oh, wait, I think...
Does he say anything else besides his name? Azure?
No. Azurite, yes. He says, "My name is Azurite of the Kingdom of Winderon. I'm
Is
here..."
that the place I thought it was?
Come again?
Is that the place I thought it was?
No, he's wearing cloaks from Harrow.
Okay.
But he says he comes from, Winderon. I come seeking an old friend of mine. His name was Willy. We met in the ancient scholar's city 33 and a half years ago.
I think at this point, Willy flips off his hood and says, Telagaim?
He looks at you.
I think I'm like 2 feet to the left.
He looks at where he thought you were, and then you like remove your hood, and then he's like still looking in the direction, and you say Telagaim, and he like turns and he sees you.
I'm still pointing at him.
Yeah. You see that he kind of smiles a little bit. And you can tell that age has not been kind to him as it has been to you. He looks very haggard. His scales are like chipped and falling off in a lot of places. And he's got like this big, the Dragonborn equivalent of a double chin.
Okay.
Strangely enough, the rest of his body looks uncomfortably lithe.
Interesting. Okay.
He looks at you and he says, Telagaim. And he smiles. Yes.
I'm sorry to say, I don't remember you.
You don't?
I'm having... Things are switching, but nothing is coming up.
Do you...
I remember a lot about Telagaim. I think I've thought about it much, but some things slip an old man's memory once in a while. Can you explain what you did there?
He looks at you and he says, Willy, you don't look nearly as old as I thought you would, but
One of the many questions I have, yes.
I was one of the sorcerers in the research halls. You may remember a certain staff that had the ability to obtain things, and
I think Willy remembers the staff.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the dangerous things from Telagaim that he'd been wanting to keep track of. Mm-hmm. So I think there's like a flash of recollection on his face, and like it drops for a second, then that was... You made the staff.
Yes. And you took it from me. Rightfully so, I should add. That was...
No, we still had the staff at the end. It was just invisible.
What...
Did
you take it, or did you, like, kick it to the side?
I made the staff invisible, and I put it to the side. Like, okay. I stole his, just kind of this point, stole his component pouch.
Yeah.
And then I came over and talked to him, like, hey, what the fuck was going on with that staff?
Okay.
And he said, I don't know how to get him out, but I promise I'll try and figure it out. And I think I sensed motive on him and got really well, and I trusted him about it like that. He was legitimately broken up about it, and I tied a red string around it and gave it to him. Because it was permanently invisible. Willy can turn things permanently invisible. Again, Percy's fault.
Yeah, Willy is something else. You made it difficult to find, as it were. You made it permanently invisible, and I promised I would try to find a way to bring our friend back.
So why are you here?
I'm here to let you know good news and bad news. The good news is that I was able to get him out of the staff. It took a very, very long time, and regrettably, he is no longer the same person that he was. He's nearly catatonic.
Ah.
However, he's only been out of the staff for a few months at this point. However, shortly after that, my staff went missing, which I feel I should let you know. I understand your frustration.
That's very bad. That's very, very bad. That staff was incredibly dangerous.
Yes. One of the many things that I regret from that city.
Come, let's go to my home. There's much more to speak of, and it'd be better not to speak of it. And I gesture at the gate to the Underdark.
Okay.
I'd rather not speak of it here.
He nods, and he follows you to your home. What does your house look like?
I think it's just there's 2 rooms, one of which is a the place where Willy sleeps, and then everything else. It's a fairly Spartan handmade log cabin. There's a kitchen that's attached to a place where a table and chairs are, and then a bunch of tools and whatchamacallits. It looks like he lives here out on his own without much trade, or he's living off of the land essentially. Okay. There's like animal skins. There's a small like garden with various wild vegetables and shit, that like onions and potatoes and shit out there. There's many just like tools on the wall, a table to sit at, homemade chairs, a small kitchen area that looks like it has a place for a fire. It's very handmade and homespun. Okay. Not much is expensive or irreplaceable about it. Okay. There is above the fireplace is what looks like not a very ornate or well-made hand crossbow, but a very well taken care of one.
Okay.
Different from the one that he currently carries.
Okay, neat. As you're walking towards your house, you're not sure what, but something looks a little bit familiar. Roll history.
About what? Like what's familiar?
The view that you see.
21.
As you're walking closer towards your cabin, you remember something that happened several times. When you were still in the research halls of Talagaim, in a space outside of space and taking time away from time, you had dreams.
Okay.
Most of which when Arias visited you.
Right.
Every single time that he did so, it was always next to a strange kind of foggy structure that you didn't really recognize at the time.
Right. And I was usually near my house when the dream, like the setting of the dream was near my house. Things were foggy and there was something kind of in the distance I couldn't make out, and then he was there.
Now, as things have kind of like settled into place, what you see in front of you is nearly the exact same thing that you saw in your dream. The trees are in the exact same spot, the wildlands, the bushes. And strangely enough, in the spot where Arias stood in your dreams, the grass there is just dead, burned away.
I put up a hand to like silently just stop. What did he say his name was?
Azurite,
right. To stop Azurite, and I flip my hood back on, just kind of hoping that they get the message to stop. Do they stop?
Yeah, they do.
Okay. I'm going to just toss the spell component pouch back to him. I never really gave that
he
back.
grabs it, and he...
I feel it just comes out of an invisible space.
Yeah, it just like appears somewhere. Do you watch him as he like fastens it to his side, and he sticks his hand into it and vanishes, and you hear a voice in your head, and it's his, and he says, "I'll be behind your cabin. I don't know what's going on." But...
I try and like say in my head, trying to like stay hidden. I'm going to investigate. This is familiar but different, and I start creeping towards the burned spot.
Roll for creep. Yes.
18.
Those are some good numbers.
Good old 2 and a 3. Thank God I have expertise in stealth.
You creep.
I hit a lot of small twigs.
You step on far too many small twigs for someone of your caliber as you approach this spot. But as you get there,
Bucko!
It's a perfect circle of this like dead grass, and you see that at the edges of the circle there are small tendrils, kind of going from the circle to the outer reaches of this little area. It looks almost like a sun. The spot feels warm.
Shoot. Do I have any knowledges or anything like that? I don't. I pull out my poking stick, which is a slightly like 1.5 foot long stick that is definitely charred at the end. I use for poking things that I don't want to touch myself. So I pull out the poking stick. I poke the tiny sun.
You
like
poke
just far away.
You do that, and nothing happens.
Does it interact with the small sun at all? Does it go through it? Does it burn? Does it...
Nothing really happens.
Is it giving off light?
It is not giving off light.
Interesting.
The top of your poking stick is a little bit warm.
Oh, okay. I want to say in my... I just say in my head, I don't know what this is. It seems magic in nature, and that's not my forte. I'm going to describe it to you. Can you give me anything about what this might be? And I just start describing the circle with the tendrils with the small sun.
Okay. You hear a little bit of silence for a bit before the voice finally reappears in your head. And he says, a little shakily, I'm almost certain that this is some sort of mark of some kind. If it's giving off warmth, and you said it looks like a sun?
A small sun, yes. In the middle there are shadowy tendrils. It's... Did I see this type of thing in my dream before ever?
No.
Okay.
You just know this is where Araya stood.
Right. And the place where it is located is not at random. It means something to me. But I don't believe telling you what it means exactly would add anything. It's just coincidental as to where it is. So a mark, what do you mean by a mark? A magical mark? Am I marked? Is this spot marked? Is it to tell me something? What is the purpose of this mark?
There is silence for a little bit. And then you hear in your head, Willy, does this spot mean anything to you? Did something happen to you here?
I spoke with... I want to roll insight on that, actually. I don't have insight, but I've got okay wisdom. Actually, my wisdom is kind of shit. 16.
16?
Yeah, I got 12. I got 14 wisdom.
He's genuinely curious. There's no malicious intent here.
I spoke with a man in my dreams here. And we spoke many times. Multiple times, at least. Not many. And this is the spot. We always spoke at my cabin. Here. It would look like this. The scenario we're in right now. And he would always stand here. About this mark. Does it do anything? Is it just here? Does it I poked it, and it just made my stick warm. Will it do anything? Will it go away? One moment actually. And I reach out my hand, and I want to do my Dispel Magic on it.
Okay. You like regular Dispel Magic or the Fuck You Transmutation?
Fuck You Transmutation. I don't actually have... Well, do I have regular Dispel Magic, or do I just have...
Do you? I know that the spell that you learned when you were in Telegame is specifically for...
I only have Dispel Transmutation.
Okay,
because
all right.
Willy himself doesn't know any other kind of Dispel Magic.
Okay. You reach out your hand and you do that. But the second the spell leaves your fingertips, it fizzles.
It's not transmutation. But will this mark do anything? Is it safe to leave here?
You hear footsteps approaching from behind, and
I look.
You look and you see Azzy kind of shimmering outside of his invisibility. He moves towards it and kind of crouches next to it and takes a look, and he looks at you.
Does he?
He looks around rather, and he says, "It's a beacon of sorts. It shouldn't do anything for now. But as far as what could happen in the future, I'm entirely uncertain."
I continue to say in my mind as to not give away my position.
Sneaky.
A beacon. That implies that someone is watching this beacon or getting information from it. Is that true? Or is it a marker for someone who would walk by and see it and go, oh, hey?
More the latter. More specifically, a waypoint of sorts. Someone wants to be here. Maybe not now. But someone wants to be here.
Let's speak in my cabin. There's not much else to do about this. I feel as if you coming and this happening must be related in some way. I don't know how, but for 33 years I've been here on my own and nothing like this has happened, then you show up and this mark is here. I doubt it is coincidental they happened on the same day. And I flip off my hood again, like 2 feet to the left of where he's looking. Next time it'll be to the right. Wink.
You're a dangerous man, Willy.
I say, let's go talk in my cabin. And I start walking towards my cabin. And he's not quite looking at him as right in the eyes. He's more like thinking and just kind of looking towards the ground or places where there's not really anything.
Okay. Are you, like, avoiding looking him in the eyes?
A bit. It's not necessarily out of, like, I don't want to look at him. It's more just, like, really doesn't talk to people.
Oh.
Really just, like, he's more or less thinking out loud. And this is just where he would look and act on his own.
Okay. So he follows you into your cabin. You can tell that he is a little bit uncomfortable. You kind of get the impression that this isn't normally the kind of spots he's in.
Digs he's used to.
Yeah. You can tell just by his robes that he's probably a bit of a fancier guy nowadays. Not exactly the spunky young magic kid he was when you met him in Telagame.
I point to, like, where there's a small table and 2 chairs, and I go, you can have either of those, and I start moving towards the fireplace to light it with a tinder box.
Okay. He moves over to the table, and he sits down, and he watches you, and
got a little wet this morning.
He just kind of, like, he looks at you and he squints. Willy, was the
small fire in Talagaim?
Yes.
Yes, that was me.
Huh.
I knew I would need a distraction. We'll speak of why I did that possibly, but I needed a distraction at that moment. As to why, well, I made sure that the fire would not hurt anyone. He gives, like, a half grin.
As he just kind of, like, nods his head to either side, and he sits and he waits for you to come to the table.
I set the fire. I put a pot of water, like a teapot over it to boil some water, and I sit down at the other chair across from him. And I think Willy just sits there kind of looking at the table again for a few minutes. If he doesn't say anything to me, eventually Willy will look up and go, what's the name of the guy who was in the staff? What was his name?
Barkley.
Where's Barkley? You said he came out of the staff a few months ago and that he's catatonic.
Yes.
I doubt you brought him with you.
Of course not. I wouldn't want to endanger him. He's currently in the care of my aides. However, one such aide is a person who I'm thinking might have stolen my staff. He and the staff have gone missing near the same time.
Has aides. That's my bad. Has helpers. We ain't a bad South Park episode here.
Classing it up. But yeah, he elaborates that my aides are currently looking after him. He's, as I mentioned before, catatonic, and he's within my lab, and we're taking care of him, trying to fix him up the best we can.
I don't need specifics of magic that you did, but how did he come out of the staff?
A long, complicated ritual that took a few hours to even do, and 3 decades worth of research. Rest assured, he's...
Yes, but I meant the moment when he came out of the staff.
Mm-hmm.
What? Describe that to me.
He still looked as he did all those years ago. So young and sprightly, and you remember him. He was a happy person.
Yes.
And he came out scared and frightened.
As if the first time he was summoned from the staff. He came out with the same confusion.
Yes.
But you say he looked tired.
He did.
He did not look tired the first time he came out of the staff.
He didn't.
How tired did he look? Had you summoned him from the staff before then?
No. I didn't...
How tired did he look? Was it a I have not gotten a night's sleep, or I have not slept in 30 years?
The latter. The reason I didn't call him forth is because I couldn't have seen him again. Not in that state. Not without regretting everything I've ever done. But...
Alright.
I'm beginning to think that...
But...
all that time he was in there, he was on, as it were. And that takes a toll.
Yes, especially if he was awake the whole time. But when he came out, he was lucid, but for a moment he was there.
Yes.
And then how did he become when did he become catatonic? Was it shortly afterwards? Was there a moment where he could speak?
It was after we returned him to a physical form. To make a long story short, he's essentially within a simulacrum. But from when he was out of the staff and into the simulacrum.
What's a simulacrum?
Basically an empty vessel. Think of your body as a vessel, and your soul can inhabit that vessel.
So this will be a place where his soul could be in place of his body.
Exactly. Once he entered that is...
When he went.
Yes.
Interesting. All right.
We're simply glad that we got him out of there. He appears to be resting, which
so
he needs.
Not in his body, and presumably he's been awake for 30 years.
Yes.
And you've lost the staff.
Yes.
Tell me about this aide.
He was...
Helper.
He was a strange fellow. He came to me maybe within a few months of me getting my lab in Harrow. His name was Tomas. He genuinely seemed like he wanted to learn. And for those long years, we worked together and we did so much. And we learned and we crafted, but eventually he began to change.
May I ask, approximately how long after Talagaim, did you begin working on the staff, and how far after that did he start working with you?
Maybe 15 years after the events in the city is when I set up my lab in Harrow, and then maybe 2 years after that is when Tomas came to work for me.
Had you gained notoriety by then, to the point where it would not seem odd for a random scholar to come to you and ask for teaching or an apprenticeship?
I was young and I was foolish. I was eager to have anybody willing to help me. And mayhaps I'd done the wrong things in mentioning that I'd been from that city, but alcohol makes lips loose and secrets come about.
You said he began to change.
Yes. Over time, he began to grow malicious. He preferred to do things in a manner that would normally endanger a living creature. Transforming things for extended periods of time, messing with people's minds, and...
Was it malicious? Or was it nearly just...
It seemed inquisitive.
Practice? Inquisitive. So it wasn't done for pleasure.
Correct. It seems like he was genuinely curious, and I didn't want to believe that anyone that had been with me that long was capable of something like that. Part of me still believes that he doesn't have it, but...
The staff.
Yes. Both him and the staff have gone missing.
And I'm assuming they went missing at around the same time.
Yes.
So why did you come to me?
You helped me out all those years ago. You heard me out when I was suffering at what I realized I could do. And that help stuck with me. And you told me that if I ever needed anything, that I should come to you. And while I'm not exactly asking you to abandon your duties, if you catch any word about it, feel free to let me know. And then he snaps his finger, and a small, like, square piece of paper, like, falls to the center of the table. He, like, pushes it towards you, and he says...
I think there was a flinch at the magic happening, like... And then normal.
He hands it over, and he says, if you need me, just write on this piece of paper. I'll hear it.
All right. I grab it, and I put it in a pocket that has nothing else in it.
Okay.
Is that where the scene ends? Or is he, like, does he start getting out of here?
He stands up. Well, did you ever, like, bring out the tea, or did you just put the water on?
I don't think he ever brought out the tea. No, I think he lit it and then got too heavy in asking questions, and just, like, that wasn't what he was thinking about anymore. He doesn't know how to be a good host.
Oh, poor Willy. He looks around a little while longer, and just kind of, like, uncomfortably fidgets for a little bit. And then
I think Willy's just staring at the table, thinking about all the questions he's asked. He's not really focusing on Azurite.
He looks at you, and he says, you look as though you haven't aged a single day.
Yes, yeah. I've noticed that as well. You have aged, though.
Yes.
So probably didn't have to do with Talagai. Why haven't I aged? I don't know if you know this or have an idea. I've asked people from the other city, but they don't have any great magicians there that I know of. I haven't aged, and it's a question I've been asking for a while as to why.
Have you come into contact with anything that would draw your blood? Do you still bleed, Willy?
In the last 33 years, has Willy gotten injured enough to, like, bleed? I feel like he goes into the Underdark often.
Probably, like, cuts and scrapes, yeah.
Yeah, and he's willing to do, like, dangerous shit to get out of a bad situation. He's probably a little better at it now, but I assume he's messed up once and hit a trap or something. Okay.
Yeah.
Did I bleed?
You definitely did bleed.
I can bleed. Yes, I've injured myself, cutting myself or hitting a booby trap. I haven't aged. I've got new scars. I've taken blows in battle that could fell other men, but could have fallen me a few years ago. But nowadays, I'm a little tougher than that, but enough of those, and I feel as if I would die. I look the same as I did nearly 33 years ago and a half.
He smiles as you add on the half part. He looks you once over, and he just shrugs.
I would like to roll insight on that shrug.
Sure.
12.
He has no idea why you've aged.
It's at the moment.
Or why you haven't aged.
At the moment, it's the least of my worries. I've interacted with many odd things and odd people. I'd be surprised if I haven't picked up something by now. There are a lot of other things I could be worrying about other than why I haven't aged. If anything, I see it as a boon, but I would like the answer at some point. If you ever find out, or maybe a lead or anything, I would be appreciative.
I'll be sure to let you know. I'll look into it. And he takes his finger and he, like, swirls it around a little bit, and you see it kind of, like, sparkle with magic. I've made a note on my board back home. My aides will be after it. Hopefully we'll find something of it.
All right. Do you have any questions for me? I don't know how I could help you in this staff. I've tried to keep track of it in my outings from this place, but I haven't heard heads or tails of it. I haven't heard anything about Talagaim other than stories of the explosion. Nothing of the I suppose 5 of you that made it out. Have you interacted with any of the other scholars who made it out of Talagaim? There should have only been about 5 of you, I believe. I was given... Have you interacted with any of the other scholars from Talagaim?
Only one of them. Fuck, what was his name?
Which one was it?
Seizand.
Seizand?
Seizand,
okay.
yeah.
I don't remember his name either. I did mention him. Yeah. Seizand.
Seizand, yes. Boop. No, it's just Willy went off. Really, it was just Willy.
Jerry the Size Mage. It would tie in with the beginning. Teddy?
His name was Teddy, yeah.
Teddy. Okay, that's
so you saved Volmir, Azzy, Barkley, Rip.
He's still there. Poor Barkley.
Teddy and Kieran. Kieran was that's the name of
one of the champions of Rain, ain't it?
No.
No? Wasn't Kieran there? Someone could do dumb shit with Krakens.
That was Teokano.
Right.
Teokano
was a champion of Rain.
Yeah.
Who wanted to forget the people that they had killed.
Yeah. You did not save. You didn't save that guy.
Teokano?
Teokano was not in Telegame. You didn't save the guy who could do the Kraken thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
The other person you saved was Kieran, who was the purple scale dragonborn that taught you how to dispel things.
Okay.
I think that's what.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
You spoke to Teddy.
Yes.
Under what circumstance?
He took a different route than I did. He currently works in Iata, and I'm not particularly fond of his choices there, but...
What do you mean by a different route? Is it just the location? I've heard of Iata. I don't know much about the place.
Iata is a place where they seem almost zealous in their willingness to gain people. They say that they scoop up the weak to train them and make them stronger, but I personally have a suspicion that they're doing something else. And I've spoken to Teddy about it, and he genuinely believes that they're just good people. I, however...
Have your suspicions.
Yes.
Can I roll history on Yadam?
Iata, yes. I-A-D-A.
Yo, nat 20.
You know that Iata is Harrow's polar opposite. Whereas Harrow is might makes right, Iata is help the weak. They haven't really done anything super bad, except for one event like 80 years ago that was called the Crimson Wave.
I was like 10.
Yeah, you're a wee bab. There was a huge war between Iata and Harrow, and Iata did some really sketchy things, like stealing kids from Harrow and kind of brainwashing them into soldiers.
Okay.
As he goes on to say that, I hope he is doing the right thing, but he's the only one I've spoken to.
What did you speak about?
What
purpose did he come? Did he find you? Did you meet on the street?
I sent him a letter.
How did you know where he was?
He's been making great strides in magic as I have been.
So his name is known.
Yes.
And you heard it. All right. That makes sense.
Willy, if I may ask, you said you helped people escape, yes?
In a way. Yes, I did.
Firstly, who?
I gave the list of names. You, Teddy, Barkley, Kieran. There was another. What was his name? course he held me.
I'm trying to think about what as you would call him.
Kieran, I believe...
The cat guy?
The one who threw the lights?
No. The guy who made all the cats.
No, he was out before I had to save him. He wished to go home, and I believe... No, wait, did I name him?
You definitely named him.
Yes, the...
Volmir.
Bard, Volmir. Dear Lord. Volmir's another one I've tried to keep tabs on, but he must have really actually just gone home.
I will be honest, Willy. Volmir scares me. To create life like that, that's a dangerous thing.
I agree, which is why I've tried to keep tabs on him, but I've literally heard nothing. And from what I remember of the man, he is the loudest person I've ever met. And anything about Volmir, he would not be... Anything relating to him or his ability to create life, something would have been said in 33 years if it happened on this continent. And I believe he was from this continent.
Yes.
So I worry about Volmir, but I believe he truly did just go home. I don't think he wanted the powers that he had, but I don't think he put them to malpractice, but that doesn't mean anyone else couldn't have found it or done anything with it. But again, I've heard nothing.
Worrisome.
Have you heard anything about him? Is it just remembering what he could do that scares you, or have you heard something that has put you on alert?
I simply just... I tried to keep tabs on him as you did, but...
Nothing. That's not necessarily a bad thing when dealing with someone like Volmir.
Yeah. He seemed well-intentioned. My only worry is that...
He could make life.
Yes.
That's a worrying thing in any capacity, no matter whose hands it's in.
And not to mention the same way that I lost the staff. I'm very much hoping that the knowledge of his ability didn't get out, and that people haven't been able to replicate it.
It would be dangerous, yes. A staff, a helper, a spot in the grass, and you showed up. I don't know what any of this means right now, but something is happening.
Willy, I do have one more question.
Feel free. I give no promise of my answer.
How did you get us out? All I remember was being in a room 1 second after I had been with Theodora and taken some things back to my room, and suddenly I was miles away. What happened, Willy?
The city was going to be destroyed. There was nothing I could do to stop it. Theodora was dead, and someone was coming to destroy it. His herald, someone that was working with the man who was going to destroy the city. Let me start from the beginning. I took a book that spoke of the Underdark and the Shadow Realm that it somewhat resides in. It had information of its magics and things that were dangerous. I burnt it in the library. I slept that night, and a man came to me, the same man who I told you about before in my dreams, who has now left a mark, I assume, in the same spot where he stood, and taunted me about not burning books. I believe in that dream he gave me warnings that someone under his control, someone that was working for him, I believe for him, no one works with him, would come, and I should meet him and to make sure not to look in his eyes. A few days later, he told me that the next one would be coming. I believe I had another dream with him where either he told me that or more information was given. I don't quite remember everything. That's why I set up the fire starters around the library, so that when the next person came, I could start one and go deal with the newcomer myself. This newcomer was a demi-lich named Kevin.
As you say the word demi-lich, you see that Azurite's hands just kind of ball into fists.
I will continue, but I will ask you a question or two afterwards. Kevin was covering his eyes with his own skeletal hands and waiting for someone to come. I believe he noticed my presence in some way, but could not look at me, nor could tell where I was, as I, at this point, had made the true invisibility cloak. At the time, and I still believe this was the right thing to do, I turned Kevin permanently invisible, due to the fact that if you look him in the eyes, you would die. This is Logan laughing, not Willy. I'm sorry. Dinderbiffin Mimberliffin is laughing, not Willy. I turned him invisible.
What a fucking
permanently,
wild sentence.
So that in case anyone looked him in the eyes, he could not kill them on purpose or accident. I then left, not speaking to him, and allowed him to go about his business and kept an eye on him for a few days. Eventually, we came to speak, as either he finally noticed me watching him in his room, or he just assumed that it was happening and guessed correctly. I'm still unsure. He told me of his master, Arias, the man who spoke to me in my dreams, and how he would need my help, or that I should be ready, or that I could expect his... Talagaim was a flash and very odd in all of its ways. We spoke a bit more. I asked him a few questions and honestly did not learn much about his master nor his plans for Talagaim. Do you remember the loud scream that knocked nearly all of you unconscious when we were fighting the Iron Golem?
Yes,
That was Kevin. And as far as I know, Kevin can just do that. Kevin is an insane demi-lich who is incredibly powerful and completely under the power of Arias, the man who spoke to me in my dreams, which can only speak to the power of Arias, or the power Arias has over Kevin. Once you had spoken to Theodora, and Theodora had teleported you to safe places in Talagaim, I was remaining hidden in the room. Theodora did not know I was there, or else I would not have been as lucky. After Theodora teleported you all away, I killed Theodora.
As you say this, as he shakes his head and he looks genuinely confused, and he looks at you with these sad eyes, and he just says, "Why?"
Give me a moment, I gotta remember why Willy killed Theodora real fast, besides being a very evil-looking person who took and trapped people in a giant college. I think Willy goes... I think Willy, has been talking in a stupor at, the corner of the table.
Mm-hmm.
And then when, as he stops him and says why, he looks up and goes, "She kidnapped us, stole us, forced us to work for her, and would do so in the future. I had no way of... It was not something I could continue to let happen. And, well, I believe Kevin wanted me to anyways. I think. I have vague memories that, Kevin was like, "We gotta kill this thing."
As he looks very sad, and
I understand that.
I was born and raised in that city. My father and his father before him were each grand scholars. Theodora just wants to protect from the inevitable. Someday, a great threat will arise, and having access to weapons and spells of that caliber would have been incredibly useful. And to kill her like that, well, you may You may have killed us all.
I don't feel bad for killing Theodora. But if it comes to the fact that I have doomed us, well then I suppose I will have many people to see on the other side. I haven't finished my story.
As he begins to cry.
Afterwards, Kevin told me that Arias would be arriving and destroying the city. I tried as much as I could to get him to change Arias' mind. And I couldn't. Kevin either could not stop Arias or was not willing to. I believe it was a little of both. He told me 6 people. Give him 6 names. This is what he would... I don't know whether this was the limit of his power or what he was willing to do. I know little of Kevin's mercy or allotted... I don't know damn all about what Kevin wants. I gave him the names that I gave him, and apparently he carried through on that. He teleported me as well back to my home. And then 33 years later, you showed up. And I think he looks up, and now he just noticed that Azurite is crying, and he's kind of like not, he doesn't like flinch, he's like, I had a question, but I believe I know the answer.
As he simply stands up and begins to walk towards the door. Before he grabs the handle and opens it up, and before he steps outside, he looks at you, his eyes still misty. And
I think Willy notices that the door, it's taken a moment for the door opening, and then he just looks up and sees Azurite looking at him.
As he looks at you, and he says, I wish things were different, Willy. You were brilliant. And with that, he steps outside, and he disappears in a big old magic puff dust.
I think he notices that the pot is boiling over, and he kind of rushes and takes it off the thing.
Picking up the kettle, it's hot in your hands, obviously. The water kind of sloshes around and echoes in a way that reverberates around the room. And you feel a little bit of a loss. You feel like a friend that could have been there for you no matter what learned the worst thing he could have learned about you and is now gone. The sound of the water reverberates and bounces around your little put-together shack, and it reminds you of how lonely you are.
Willy puts the kettle on whatever counts as a counter space in this small room. And he goes out, he grabs a shovel, and he goes out into his yard, and he picks a spot in between 2 trees, and he buries the piece of paper that Azzy gave to him. And he just kind of mentally remembers where that spot is. I think he goes back into his home. He sits down at the table. And I think he just thinks a very long time about all the information he's gained.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't. He's been at this for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
He knows he's lonely, but he knows what he does he has to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have been worse to lie to Azurite in that situation than not.
Does he feel any regret for killing Theodora?
Absolutely not. That was in his. He regrets that. He regrets that the work Theodora might have been done might save the world in the future, but in the end, the city got destroyed anyways. And if he hadn't killed him, Kevin would have. And Theodora was, in his mind, a very evil creature who was kidnapping people and forcing them to work for Theodora, making incredibly dangerous items.
Really dangerous.
To the point where, like, even if it was used to save the world, well, like, that shit could be used to destroy it the next day. And who knows if Theodora truly had good intentions. And Theodora kidnapped him. Like, actually kidnapped. So he's sad that the work being done there that could have actually saved the world is destroyed. He doesn't feel sad that he didn't really have a part in destroying that work.
Mm-hmm.
The city got destroyed by Arias.
Mm-hmm.
He just killed Theodora. The work in that city could have kept happening. All the knowledge. Theodora wasn't making that shit. The people there were.
Mm-hmm.
Theodora was just kidnapping them. Like Theodora was just fucking kidnapping them. The people were doing that work, and Arias killed all the people there.
I love the way Willy thinks about this. This is very interesting, but it all makes like serious, solid sense.
He understands where a person like Theodora would be coming from. Of, I need to start gathering up things to stop what's coming in the future that I know of. What he doesn't understand is why not just ask. Why not be upfront about it?
Mm-hmm.
Why not just be like, hey, this is where we do things because this is happening. Why the fuck did he kidnap... Did they kidnap Willy?
He
doesn't know these things.
Yeah.
And he I think these are also things that he thinks about at his table in his small cottage. Just like, I think he's thought about Telegaim before, and he's thought about it deeply, but it's been 30 years since then, so he's had other things to think about. But I think he's going back down the old corridors of thought of, why would someone do something like that? I have new information about it. How does it apply to the things? What does it mean?
You were only in Telegaim for like a little bit, right?
Very little time. He was in there for like 2 or 3 days beforehand, before he got kidnapped, and then that was like a week or two until it fucking exploded.
Yeah.
So not more than 3 weeks was he in Telegaim.
Okay.
And that was longer than he wanted to be in Telegaim.
Yeah, because he came there to be like, hey, I really want to like hammer out this blink bolt shit, right?
Yeah. Like, he was trying to get... whenever he goes out, before 30 years ago, he's been trying to research on just how to stop the Underdark.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what he went to Telegaim for, and he learned cool magic shit, and then he got kidnapped and killed a... I'd just like to say, a sphinx that was merged with a displacer beast bottom.
She just had 6 legs.
I remember Displacer Beast.
She had black fur and 6. She was like a Displacer beast without the weird vortail thing.
Yes. A Displacer Sphinx.
Love it. I'm gonna go pee.
Alright.
Holy shit, I love Willy. When I get back, we'll go where this one is actually supposed to start.
I'm so sorry, it's been almost an hour and a half. Probably an hour, 20 minutes of that was bullshit at the beginning, so... Oh well. I'll explain Willy's character a little bit here, just some backstory that you have. Willy is a ranger rogue who is the sole defender of one half of a mountainside where the Underdark kind of pokes through. There were once two dwarven cities that started digging into the mountain, as dwarven cities do. They both hit the Underdark. One of them didn't make it. Willy was in that city. Willy was a slave in the Underdark for a while, caught a lucky break, and was able to break out, but his city was destroyed, his life was destroyed, and so he kind of has just devoted himself since then to stop the Underdark at all, in every cause. He's old, he's grumpy, and he's lived alone for about 90 years now. But he's a good guy. Tries to be, at least. He has a somewhat black and white thinking of morality and evil. And the first time I played this character was in the Talagaim one-off, where a lot of shit that I described before happened, and he was a 16th level character then as well, and he's a 16th level character now. Yeah. He looks... he's a human. He's somewhat pale. He might have been tan at one point, but that's long past him as he spends most of his time underground away from the sun. The clothes he wears are old, but they've been through a lot, but they look like they have a lot more to give. They're somewhat darker, made from just stuff he's found around and was able to learn how to weave and make on his own. He's got kind of longer, stringy white hair at this point that he'll sometimes try and keep back, but just kind of hangs around him. He has a hand crossbow on his hip, a few other weapons, but otherwise he looks almost completely mundane. Fuck that Sphinx thing, though. Holy shit. Oh, I'm gonna say some of the dumbass items that Percy gave to me. The Cloak of True Invisibility, the Huntsman, the Eye of the Greater Rakshasa, some amount of Drow Poison, and I don't have the Blink Back Bolt, actually. Along with being able to dispel any transmutation magic and make anything literally perfectly invisible forever. No concentration. At a touch.
Like just forever.
That's essentially a cantrip Willy has.
Holy shit.
It's like a 10th level cantrip.
Limited cantrips.